Rafael, Buenas, hola todo el mundo, hello.
Aupa ahí, Egunon, Rafa.
How's your week, Alberto? Well, I saw you on Friday.
I love the spontaneity of this. How's your week?
Well, I saw you on Friday. Luckily, we have returned to our live events. So we were at the French Institute in Edinburgh with our annual meeting with Kimuak, with that amazing organization that promotes the short films from the Basque Country. We had a full room with restrictions, but it was great to see the confidence on going back to a cinema event is there.
And the stress, no, of having to say until last minute, like, one seat left, you sit there, maybe we can fit one more. It's great to see that there is demand to come back to CinemaAttic.
It was kind of like a triple victory. First, because we could do it. Second, because people came to watch the films. Third, because it was a sunny day in Scotland, and that is very difficult to beat. And the last is because Scotland was playing England, and still we didn't have any spare tickets.
When we realized about that, when the fixtures were known, we were like, what should we do? Should we move it to Thursday? Nobody's gonna come that day, you know. But yeah, never underestimate your audience, no? Never.
Amazing. What we're doing here is celebrating this annual date. I mean, it's a date we have with Kimuak, with the good people that were pioneers. Alberto will tell us this story. They kind of replicated the French formula over 20 years ago. They had been all over the place. We had the pleasure of having Chema Muñoz, the director of Kimuak, here 2-3 years ago. And he was telling us about the original years of Kimuak, when he had to travel the planet, going to festivals with all the tins of films and materials, not to show them. Now with the digital era, obviously it's a bit easier. But certainly they managed to put a program of short films every year that we don't want to miss. We don't want to miss.
It must be, Rafa, maybe because it's Basque Country, but it must be one of the very, 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 very few cultural policies or public programs towards culture that stays consistent in Spain for 20 years. Probably the only one, no?
Yeah.
Every time, you know, in a region or a new government comes in, there's a new strategy for culture, a new thing to do. And the Basques did this 20 years ago, as you were saying, kind of the Basque government and the Festival de San Sebastián back then. And you can see only the results, you know, from that they acquired with 20 years. They developed 3-4 generations of Basque filmmakers. And they did so much for Basque cinema. Obviously, if you support the roots, the basics of your cinema for 20 years, those filmmakers, those producers, those artists will eventually be at the front line of your audiovisual culture.
It's more than that. I mean, it's not only a launch pad, like the people who come with short films that get shortlisted by Kimuak. and then move to other things. I mean, we've seen directors that were in Kimuak, went to do other films, short films, feature films, and then they come back to Kimuak to do another, come back to short films that get taken by Kimuak again. I mean, the program this year is 7 films. You can still watch them. We have our VOD arrangements with Fest Home. If you come to our website, cinematic.com, you will get all the information. We are following this kind of accessibility policy. So the ticket price is not a barrier for anyone. We suggest it's £5, but you can pay as much as you can, and nobody asks any questions. So just visit cinematic.com. As I said, 7 films that will be live until midnight on Friday. Next Friday is it. And you can see Barbudos by Tucker Davila and Larry Mancuso. We were talking about this before we get into titles of the eclectic program. That normally we try to theme our programs and find the films that somehow we can see that they go together. This, in the case of Kimuak, is like from animation to horror, from fiction, pure fiction, to kind of this dystopia, ultra realism that is coming up in Spain very strong, to everything else. I mean,
it's hard to see, Raf, no? Like 7 films that each of them is so different than the other. In the good sense, obviously.
It is difficult to say, and everybody will leave the room or the program online with saying, well, I didn't like that one, but I don't think anyone will leave without finding something that really is a new discovery or a new way of looking at things and how to make the film. And well, we have 2 luxury
guests today, no? Award-winning.
To guess this, the Malaga Film Festival has just done its annual award ceremony, and well, we arranged to meet this Marina and Pablo way before the award ceremony, but we are delighted to see that the recognition the films are getting everywhere. So yes, in a minute or two.
Rafa, you used to say this, like, when the night we were showing Cuban films, Fidel passed away. And so many coincidences, no? Like that make you develop this theory, which is the stock exchange, the G7 or G20, the most powerful men, the real influencers of the world are looking at what we do. And the day we sent an email to Marina and Pablo to invite them to CinemaAttic, 2 days later they win Malaga. Coincidence? I leave it to you.
There have been quite a stronger coincidence at that. But yes, let's not get into politics now. But yes, I remember that one with Fidel Castro dying, the first time we show a good retrospective on Cuban short films. Well, as I said, Marina Palacio, I can even see her as already connected. I will be here in a few minutes. Do you want to go over what CinemaAttic is? Just a 30-second elevator speech.
Yes, obviously, for those attending for first time, CinemaAttic is this circus film collective, a space for audiovisual activism that has been running for this movement, as our friends in Bogo Shorts in Colombia say, this movement that has been going on for 10 years to promote independent Spanish and Latin American cinema in Scotland and the UK, and with particular regards to our profound love for short films, for the short film format. So welcome everyone. Stay in touch. We hit every month. There's no rest for the wicked. Every month there's a new CinemaAttic, a new program of short films, a new season, a new retrospective. So yeah, in July there'll be something else that we will announce very soon. But yeah, such a pleasure, as you were saying, Raf, to host once again Kimuak. And every year is new. It's not like, oh, we have to do this. Every year there are like new perspectives, new proposals. It's never getting old, Kimuak. It's, regenerating every year.
Kimuak doesn't get old, but I might be getting old. Normally, June is the month that we are closing our season, and then get the best part of 3 months to catch up with programming, to catch up with families and friends. Our kids deserve the right to have a memory of their father as when they were a kid and that. But this year, not. This year, I want to make the first announcement, I think, of a not very big one. Just say that because the year we have had and the restrictions of getting to live events, we will be using the catalog of films we have actually buying the rights to see it in a new retrospective. It's not a retrospective, it's a summer special extravaganza or Mediterranean summer special. The names, the dates, all still to be confirmed, but yes, from the 25th of July up to the 5th of August, we will be showing some of the best films that they came out of Spain around 2019, 2020, and we will be announcing that very soon. With that said, I can see Fiona Bale waiting for us, and I don't know if Marina is ready. I can see her connected. She's coming, she's coming. Epa, hi. All in, Alberto?
Good to go.
Hola, Marina.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Opa, hola Marina.
And hola, Fiona.
Hola, hello.
Hi.
Hola. This was meant to be only for the first part and to welcome you in a fun, warm way. I can take it out and carry on.
Alberto, we are all used to your headwear during the Vermuts. I don't get impressed anymore. So we have Marina Palacio, the director of Ya no duermo, and Fiona Bale, which is you all know already, is our interpreter, live interpreter of Spanish, English. So, Marina, Fiona va a traducir lo que tú digas. Así que, ¿tú entiendes cuando pregunto en inglés?
Sí, o sea, de hecho, puedo hablar inglés, pero igual hay cosas que igual me cuesta mucho y las hay palabras que de repente se me olvidan porque hace mucho tiempo. Entonces, pues, haré una mezcla, pero entiendo perfecto. O sea, podéis hablar en inglés.
Lo más cómodo, si quieres, es que nosotros estamos en inglés, tú respondes en español y Fiona lo traduce al inglés y así es más ligero, pero como tú quieras. La verdad es que tienes libertad. Going back to English.
Fiona is used to this kind of mixture, hybrid English conversation that swaps into words in Spanish.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Expect the unexpected.
Big love to Fiona in advance.
Big love.
Once again. How are you, Marina? Where are you today? Where are you calling us from?
Os llamo desde mi habitación de San Sebastián.
Opa, yeah.
Vivo en Donosti y nada, 50 metros de la playa aquí al lado.
Qué mal.
Hace lluvia y va a llover, pero bueno.
Well, then exactly here.
I'm speaking to you from my room in San Sebastián. I live in Donosti, which is about 50 meters from the beach, but anyway, unfortunately today it's raining.
Very Scottish Sunday. Well, but then we watched your film. As I said, it got a very good welcome on Friday when we show it live. And well, the first question is how Palencia, of all places, to shoot a film about a vampire, Nosferatus.
Pues bueno, es que Palencia y el Carrión de los Condes, que es uno de los pueblos de Palencia, es el pueblo donde nació mi madre y gran parte de mi familia, y yo voy siempre. Es como mi segunda casa. Y desde hace muchos años, cada vez que abordo un proyecto artístico o cinematográfico, lo que sea, es como que es el escenario perfecto y es donde me imagino siempre, ¿no?, realizar mis proyectos. Y este también, o sea, era como, bueno, lo que yo quería era rodar, bueno, yo estoy enamorada de esos paisajes, me gustan mucho y me parecía una combinación muy interesante, ¿no? Combinar un paisaje tan alejado del mundo vampírico y esa mezcla me resultaba más interesante aún. Entonces, y además rodando en casa, pues fui a por ello, o sea, era como lógico para mí.
The region of Palencia and that town in particular is where my mother's from, so I know it very well. It's like a second home to me, and I find that that's the perfect scene for my artistic projects. I really like the landscape, and I thought it made a really interesting combination to have that landscape with a story of vampires, and because of the family connection, it seemed a really logical place to me.
And Marina, we love the film, and the audience did as well. This sort of work in progress deconstruction of a classic horror, of a classic, Rafa was saying Nosferatu, of a classic vampire film, no? And somehow is shared with Pablo's film, which we will talk later today. This idea of showing the bonds of the film, this idea of work in progress, or taking the basics of a cinema genre to do something else, to take us something else, to do a sort of, you know, work in progress creative documentary about this special relationship. Tell us a bit more about, you know, it was always meant to be this type of film, or it was coming naturally through the process?
La cosa es que cuando yo empecé con el proyecto solo tenía una cosa clara, que era yo que quería hacer una película junto a mi padre y que fuese él el protagonista. Entonces, mi padre desde siempre y desde muy, muy pequeño ha sido un amante de los vampiros y un amante de las películas de vampiros. Entonces era como que sin quererlo, la película, al tratar sobre él, trataba del tema de los vampiros. Entonces, sí que es cierto que como era un proceso muy documental y de ir trabajándolo y buscando la película en el camino, pues muchas veces igual tocábamos otros temas o no sabíamos muy bien por dónde ir. La película al principio iba sobre otra cosa, luego sobre otra, pero bueno, de repente el mundo de los vampiros era un mundo donde sé que mi padre es muy creativo y también podía colaborar más allá de ser el actor. Entonces fue como la clave para que saliese todo de manera más íntima, más familiar y más divertida. Entonces, o sea, era como natural que, o sea, si hubiese sido sobre otra cosa, quizás no hubiese salido la película o no la hubiésemos hecho tan a gusto, porque es un tema que a mi padre, pues eso, le apasiona.
The only thing I had clear from the beginning was that I wanted my dad to be involved and to be in the film. So because my dad is such a lover, he really likes vampires and vampire films. This is how these things really came together. It was a journey. So initially we looked at other themes and we were doing, you know, exploring other things. However, the key thing was that I wanted my dad to collaborate on this. And so that's how the themes came together. And that's what made it such an intimate and a family, and gave it the intimacy, the idea of family and fun. That's what made it all come together. It was really my dad's passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marina, you know, you can see it in Jesus, no, in your father. But is this love for cinema that, you know, instills from the film, that I think is makes the film very special? Is this profound love for cinema, for storytelling, for, you know, trying to make a film that makes the film really, really touching?
Sí, yo es por eso, por lo que quería hacer una película con mi padre, porque sí que es cierto que tenía muy claro que no quería hacer una película sobre él, ¿no? Que fuese igual una especie de, no sé, algo biográfico, sino que coger esa pasión que tiene por el cine y hacerla parte de la película. Entonces, sí, o sea, es que mi padre es un apasionado y es muy creativo y a mí me encanta hablar con él sobre mis proyectos y, vamos, es como una figura muy creativa y por ello también, bueno, añadiendo, ahora después del trabajo que he hecho con él en el cortometraje, ahora he descubierto como, ¿no?, mi co-guionista o mi pareja de escribir y de imaginarme el cine, y ahora estoy escribiendo mi primer largometraje con él, o sea que al final mi padre ha acabado siendo mi co-guionista y yo he vivido siempre con él y no me había dado cuenta hasta ahora, ¿no?, que tenía ahí a la pareja perfecta para hacer cine. Sí, sí.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to do this with my dad. I knew I didn't want to make a film about him, so not like a biography, but I wanted to take his passion and incorporate that into my film. I really enjoy talking with him. He's someone who's very creative, and now that we've worked together, it's given me a new, put a relationship under a new light. You know, I've lived with him all my life, and yet I've now discovered he's my perfect work partner as well.
Gosh, but he must have suffered when the kid tell him that he cannot be a good vampire. I don't know if you wrote that in the script or...
Sí, eso... Perdón. No. No, sí, eso fue también improvisado. O sea, es que mi padre se fue al baño y estaba yo con mi primo y fue como, venga, vamos a hacer algo que dé un poco de juego a esto que estamos filmando. O sea, no estaba como guionizado desde el principio, como era una búsqueda constante, yo lo dije una tarde, ocurrió, a mi padre, obviamente, pues él cree que sinceramente él podría hacer el papel de vampiro mucho más que mi primo, obviamente. Entonces sí que yo creo que le hirió un poco el ego. Pero bueno, luego sí que es cierto que se construyó la película en base a esa secuencia. Teníamos eso y entonces empezamos a grabar todo lo demás, porque ya habíamos encontrado la película. Entonces, sí.
That part was actually improvised. I was with my cousin, boy, and I said, "Oh, let's play about with this a little bit." So it wasn't actually in the script; it just kind of happened. And of course, my dad firmly believes he's the perfect vampire, so his ego is a little hurt with that comment. But that was quite a key moment in how the film developed, because from that point we then filmed the other scenes.
How cool. Well,
I can tell you, Raf, without being the peak of the comedy, because there are several funny moments in the Kimuak program in these 7 films, but maybe the moment that more people laugh, outcry on Friday was that moment, that conversation. It was quite, these things that happen in a cinema room, suddenly is happening. So it did, just to let you know, Marina, yep, it worked.
Yes.
Me alegro. Yo también me reía detrás de la cámara. Porque al principio mi primo... Sorry.
No, I'm happy. It also made me laugh behind the camera.
Sí, y que mi primo al principio no quería decírselo, le daba vergüenza. Y yo le dije, pero que no, a ver, que es una peli que tampoco se lo tiene por qué tomar muy mal. Y él que no. Y cuando se lo dijo, vamos, se vino arriba, o sea, le empezó a decir de todo y era como, para no querer decírselo, mira, la has acabado destruyendo, o sea. Sí.
And my cousin initially didn't want to say that line. He felt sort of reticent to say it. And I said, no, it's okay. It's a film. And he said, no. And then yet when he said it, that he kind of got going and he just continued along with those lines.
Well, I think you can almost tell when you're watching the film, the reaction of your dad is trying to keep in role, and the surprise of getting told that he cannot be a good vampire. But I mean, you started telling us that you live in Donostia, San Sebastian. We have seen the Elias Querejeta school when it opened, bringing a different way, a different curriculum on how to teach people to make films. And we are seeing, obviously, now a regular outcome of directors coming from that school, going all the way, in your case, to Malaga, and producing really serious films, and are quite different. How was your experience, and how you see it, how you relate to that kind of new curriculum in Elias Querejeta school?
Sí, o sea, de hecho, me parece una escuela que abre muchas puertas y que le abre muchas puertas sobre todo a las personas que no necesariamente tengan que venir del campo cinematográfico. Es decir, simplemente gente que ama el cine y quiere hacer cine. Yo quiero decir que es una escuela que por ejemplo, me admitió, ¿no? O quiso que yo formase parte, y yo en la vida había tenido ningún tipo de relación con el mundo del cine. Simplemente me apasiona el cine, había hecho cosas por mi cuenta de manera muy casera, ¿no? y pequeña, pero eso, y nunca había estudiado, nadie me había dicho cómo se hacen las películas, nunca había ido a una clase, a una carrera sobre cine, nada. Pues que de repente te venga un apoyo tan grande y una apuesta tan grande, ¿no? Y sí, que confíen en ti de repente cuando simplemente has hecho bellas artes y te gusta el cine, pues me parece que así pueden surgir, ¿no? Pues nuevos lenguajes, nuevas maneras de ver el cine y que se salgan un poco de lo que normalmente se aprende o se establece quizás en cosas más académicas o que vienen del mismo sitio.
I think that that film school is one that can really open doors, especially for people who don't have a particular background in film. In my case, just for people who love film. Sorry, in my case, I was admitted even though I didn't have a background in film. It's something I was passionate about, and I had done some small projects on my own. But I didn't have a background, a formal study or a formal career in cinema. So for me to have that large, that significant support and the confidence in me was great. And I think really interesting things can come when you invite people like me, and it brings out a new language and a new type of film, not necessarily like the film schools that are more academic.
No, we celebrate it. It feels like a fresh wave, like a new spirit, a new way of approaching teaching film or learning film or living film, and we seek more from the school. But getting back to the film, Marina, if we may, let's deconstruct a couple of things that we really liked. For instance, the editing, the sense of rhythm. It feels like a desire to not intervene, like a desire to extend shots, to let time for silence, for the doubts of the two characters. So I don't know if you could tell us more about this sense of editing and rhythm in your film, in Ya no duermo.
Sí, eso es porque yo creo que hace poco, hace unos años, yo había estado toda mi vida como desarrollando muchos proyectos en Bellas Artes. Te enseñan a pintar, a esculpir, a hacer grabado, a hacer millones de cosas. Estás todo el rato produciendo, todo el rato sin parar, ¿no? Estás en una especie de bucle de hacer y hacer y hacer. Y a veces yo llegué a un punto en el que sentía que estaba haciendo y no me estaba parando a sentir y a hacer cosas que realmente cobrasen sentido para mí. Y entonces lo primero que hice fue parar y empezar a hacer cine, que es lo que realmente me gustaba, y hacerlo de una manera sencilla y parando. O sea, me gusta parar, me gusta darle tiempo a las cosas, mostrar o pararte a mirar cosas que igual son sencillas, que no van más allá, que no hablan de grandes cosas ni de grandes temas, pero al final también la vida está en esas pequeñas cosas, ¿no? Pues, no sé, y me gusta que el trabajo que llevo a cabo, o en este caso que ya no duermo, tuviese esa paz, esa tranquilidad y esa falta de prisa, ¿no? Para ver películas. Que estuviese conformada con cosas sencillas, reales y de nuestro entorno que muchas veces pasan desapercibidas.
Yeah.
So for years, with my background in fine arts, I find that I've always been doing things. So I've had lots of projects relating to fine arts, sculptures and so on, and I've just been working, but sort of doing things and not really feeling them. So I decided I was going to stop for a while and concentrate on film, and the important thing for me was to do things that were simple and actually to take time to stop. So that's why I like to focus on simple things and small things. I think that it's important for me to have a sense in my films of peace and tranquility and a slow pace. And things, as I say, are quite simple, that they're real, and these things that are round about us that we can often miss.
Absolutely, Marina, and thank you. And that is one of the things that we love. I don't know, Raf, if you agree with me, but if I'm talking personally or collectively,
rarely. I don't take responsibility for any comment Alberto may make.
Something that then, to myself, I've been talking to the rest of the team internally as well, is obviously in this film, and is in Ella y Yo by Jaume Claret, is this peculiar I don't know if to say new, but this peculiar, this way to approach light, luminosity, color, in particular blue, no? The blues that you can get in this film and in Ella y Yo, blue, yellow, but how you, I mean, not technically, but also how do you approach this? Because it's quite something, Marina. The blues, the yellows that we've seen in this film and in Ella y Yo.
Sí, yo creo que también es los colores de la tierra, del paisaje en el que grabo. Carrión es azul y es amarillo, pero porque también muchas veces elijo filmar cuando el campo está recién cosechado, cuando está amarillo, cuando el cielo está azul, y me gusta, pues quizás si no estuviese así, pues no lo filmaría. Entonces es también un poco gracias a los entornos. Yo creo que es la suerte de estar rodeada de cosas bonitas, ¿no? A veces no es tanto como, has filmado el azul, sino es que el azul está allí y yo decido filmarlo. Es eso, es el querer elegir esas cosas porque me llaman la atención. Y luego también, en el caso de Ella y Yo, es que el entorno que eligió Jaume, las localizaciones que eligió Jaume para hacer su cortometraje eran preciosas. Entonces, pues ya era imposible que no saliese una imagen bonita, ¿no? A veces es casi, yo pienso a veces que es más elegir una buena localización y saber enmarcar y saber aprovechar eso, que es que yo creo que todo es más sencillo de lo que parece.
Bueno,
No sé.
Let me undermining a bit your quality as a photo director, no?
The colors are really the colors of the locations where I film the particular towns. The yellows and the blues, and some of these relate to the colors of the crops and if they've just been harvested. So it's really all thanks to the surroundings. I feel lucky to have all this beauty around me. And yeah, it's all about the choice of location. So I chosen it because these locations attract me. And in Ella y Yo, it's also a case of choosing the right places. If the place is beautiful, then the images tend to be beautiful as well in film. I think it's about making the most of the settings that you choose. So in that respect, it's actually an easier process than it seems.
I think Tarkovsky will run to give you a hug just for saying that.
What?
No, I think that Tarkovsky will run to give you a hug just for saying that. Running away to any technical mimic or anything. But I think you're undermining as well what you're capable of doing with a camera in your hands. And Alberto is clear when he says those blues and that you say you find, but I mean, because it's your second home, you are very intimate with them, you already know them. Sorry, Marina, we are running out of time, but I wanted to squeeze another question that I always do for this program. Is Kimuak and the fact of being getting your film into the program. What it represents for you? What kind of what do you gain with being in Kimuak?
Pues lo primero, que es como un clásico en Euskadi, ¿no? Que es como siempre que se realiza un cortometraje, casi siempre las realizadoras o las personas que hacen películas quieren un poco pertenecer a ese catálogo, ¿no? Es como casi como una tradición, ¿no? Es como Kimuak, ¿no? Y sobre todo que te da una tranquilidad tremenda de que no tienes que estar preocupado de la distribución, que no es un apoyo, es una ayuda tremenda y que, bueno, pues sobre todo eso, que hacen un trabajo genial y que cualquier persona, que es como un sello casi, ¿no? Soy...
Sí. Bueno, Alberto, pues...
No, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna let Fiona do the translation, but I have a counter question.
Yes, it's a really sort of a classic Basque institution. Everybody who makes shorts wants to be in the catalogue. It's a kind of tradition, and being in it really gives me a lot of peace of mind, because they take care of so many aspects of the film, like the distribution, and they do a great job, and it's a real seal of approval.
Yes, sorry, Raf, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we have until Q2 or 22 with Marina. Unless Pablo is waiting or something, we can still ask 1 or 2 more questions. Please. Kimuak, Marina, I'm interested in this because obviously talking to John Garaño, José Marigonaga, or Asier Altuna, or these people that kind of belong to a previous generation that went through Kimuak, have a perception, have something to say about what Kimuak or how influenced their careers as they developed. But for you, coming from a different generation, looking up, there is a program that already exists. It's like a reference. It's a place I want to be, or any Basque filmmaker can be, because it exists. A program like this. I don't know, not from the Marina today, but maybe a Marina like 4 years ago or 8 years ago. How will that Marina look at Kimuak? Like a possibility, of someone that loves film? I don't know. I'm interested in your perspective on Kimuak now and a few years back.
Pues mi perspectiva de hace unos años era, es casi un poco la representación del cortometraje vasco. Entonces, yo hace muchos años estaba totalmente ajena a este mundo, no sabía ni cómo se entraba a Kimuak, ni que se podía entrar a Kimuak. Para mí era como, lo miraba desde un mundo lejanísimo, y cómo iba a esperar, yo estar allí si ni siquiera sabía que me iba a dedicar al cine. Si yo estaba encerrada en mi cuarto dibujando, pintando y sin pararme a pensar, y quizás también me gustaba hacer eso, pero estaba dejando de lado una pasión muy, muy, muy personal de hacer cine. Lo estaba obviando, era como, ¿cómo me voy a dedicar al cine? Entonces, pues ¿cómo lo veía? Pues como algo totalmente ajeno a mí, pues como hacer cine también era como, eso solo lo hace la gente que se puede dedicar a eso. Y al final, pues ahora lo veo desde cerca como un grupo de personas que también aman el cine como yo, que apuestan por las nuevas propuestas y que se dedican a repartirlo por el mundo. Así.
We are crazy, mad, big defendants of Kimuak. Sorry, Fiona.
Yes, years ago I knew that this was something that was the institution that represented the short Basque films, but I was really far away from all that, I didn't really know how to get into that world, and I couldn't even expect to be in it. I was doing things like painting and drawing, and I wasn't really focusing on that whole other aspect of me, which was making films. So yeah, I saw Kimuak as something quite alien to me. However, now I'm really close to it. I see that it's a collection of film lovers and people who are very supportive of Basque film and who want to distribute it around the world.
Well, Marina, I think it's great to have you here. Thank you very much. It's Father's Day here in Scotland, in UK. So I don't know, maybe your comments about your experience of filming with your dad are
very
more relevant than anything. I'm still waiting for my kids to call me. It's great. Thank you very much for the film. Thank you very much for giving us some time. And I'm looking forward to see you again. Cheers. Alberto.
Yes, no, Marina, thanks for joining us. We definitely will be looking forward to see some of those projects in development. And yeah, thank you for joining us on this lovely Sunday.
Thank you. De verdad, muchas gracias, y por el entusiasmo también, y por haber organizado esto, y por apoyar también el cine vasco, ¿no? Porque si desde otras partes del mundo, pues eso, muchas gracias, y a ver si voy algún día allí.
Claro que sí, yeah.
Fiona translation.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you very much to you for your support and enthusiasm, and yes, your support for Basque films.
Bueno, agur.
Agur.
¿Cuándo pasa?
Es que te casco.
Ahí va.
Thank you very much, Fiona.
I'm just going to swap my headphones. I'm getting some crackle, so I'll just swap. Just be a sec.
No
Okay.
worries. I know my connection is not the best, so it might be coming from my side.
No, it's fine. No, but yes, I don't know. Well, but great to speak with Marina. We have Pedro, Pablo, Hernando, all bunch coming in. Better let him speak. Hola, Pablo. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Lo que me faltaba.
Pedro. Está Pedro Hernández con nosotros.
No, the thing is, on top of obviously trying to be clever, asking questions or whatever,
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. No
the
worries.
podcast and the running of the guests.
Pero
So
que vas con Rafa Cinemaldi, se encuentra a Rodrigo Sorogoyen y le dice, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa, José Luis? You should feel flattered. You should feel...
That has never happened. There's no proof of it. And if there was, I will deny it anyway. But anyway.
¿Qué
How are you
tal?
doing?
Welcome, Pablo. If we speak in English, you understand us, and then Fiona translates.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So I speak in Spanish or in English? Or in Spanish.
Whatever you
has...
prefer, Pablo. Si te sientes más a gusto en español, que por eso está Fiona, y si te quieres lanzar al inglés, pues...
Vale, como tengo un poquito de resaca, igual prefiero español. Estoy por eso Bloody Mary. No.
Cool. So we go ahead in English, and please, Pablo, feel free to talk in Spanish because Fiona is here to help us.
Okay.
We will try. Well, where are you today? Are you home? Home is Madrid? Or...
Sí, estoy en casa. Vivo en Madrid. Soy de Vitoria. Pero sí, y justo estaba haciendo muy mal tiempo hoy, pero en cuanto he entrado aquí a la conexión ha salido el sol y ahora está mi gata mirando por la ventana. Ahí.
Se ha abierto. Ahí.
Sí, estoy en casa.
Yeah, I'm at home. I'm in Madrid, in Vitoria, and the weather was quite bad, but now it's suddenly sunny, and you've just seen my cat as well there.
Yeah. Well, we have a typical grey. It looks like in Fiona's part of Edinburgh is sunny, but from my window it looks like the typical Scottish grey day. Right, we kick off. We kick off, Pablo, and we will try not to mention the word low-cost cinema in this interview. We'll try our best, but we'll see if we can. We'll start with a comment, or we'll use a couple of comments that audience or people said on Friday after watching your film. So one comment that I thought was brilliant was someone was just saying, "Man, this film is like like putting together all the rubbish I have in my phone, all these different things, but actually making a beautiful sense, a profound sense and beautiful sense of it." So I think the film somehow started like that, like not connected diaries or video diaries, but then your voice and this brilliant storytelling and this view of a futuristic view of all these characters brings them together. But tell us how you put all these elements, or how the sort of storytelling of the story starts.
Pues El ruido solar en realidad es como la tercera parte de una serie de cortos que estaba haciendo, que eran como videodiarios personales con imágenes que iba acumulando a lo largo del año. Fiona, whenever you want me to stop so you can translate.
Okay, yes, okay.
Y bueno, de cara a hacer la tercera parte de esa serie de videodiarios, como los dos primeros no habían tenido mucho éxito, porque eran diarios personales y eso no le interesa a nadie, decidí, bueno, voy a hacer lo mismo, voy a reunir las imágenes que haya guardado, pero voy a hacer una historia, voy a inventar una historia que les dé sentido y que los haga interesante para el público.
Okay. This was actually the third of a series of shorts that I made, and in which I collected almost like video diaries. I collected various images. Unfortunately, the first two weren't really that successful. So with this third one, I decided I was going to use the images, use these collections, but I was going to make a story to connect them, to make it more interesting and to make it make sense.
Y sí, no sé, o sea, me llevó a la ciencia ficción porque es una forma es un marco muy útil para resignificar las imágenes que tienes, convertir las imágenes que tienes en algo totalmente distinto. Pones una voz en off, grabas una imagen de un árbol moviéndose, pones una voz en off de alguien diciendo que los árboles van a exterminarse y ya está, ya lo estás convirtiendo en algo futurista. Es una forma de hacer algo muy barato, pero que me parece, no sé, que funciona.
Yeah, I wonder what Chris Marker would say about that. I mean, sorry.
So this led me to sci-fi as a useful framework because it's a way that you can make images into something new and into something different. As an example, you can film or have footage of a tree, but then in the film we say the trees are no longer going to exist. So just with that, I've managed to make it into something quite futuristic, and it's quite cheap to do, but I think it really works.
Y ya que mencionas a Chris Marker, La Yete evidentemente es una de mis películas favoritas, probablemente mi película de ciencia ficción favorita de todos los tiempos, pero realmente, o sea, si soy sincero, las influencias para esto han sido más ¿conocéis las recopilaciones de Vines que hay en YouTube? O los vídeos que son recopilaciones de muchos vídeos juntos. Esa estética que crea como un universo por acumulación de piezas pequeñitas me fascina. Y realmente es eso más una influencia que Chris Marker, aunque me gustaría poder decir que Chris Marker para parecer más interesante.
So for me, La Jetée is really, I would say, by Chris Marker is one of my favorite films of all times. However, the influences for me in this film were really more kind of YouTube vines, which are accumulations of small pieces. I really love them. They were more of an influence in this project, although I like to say Chris Marker was also an influence. You know, it makes me seem more interesting.
I'm going to say this in Spanish, Raf, before the next question, because I think it's simpler. But for me, yes, obviously it's La Jetée or whatever you can think, but it's almost like if El árbol de la vida de Terrence Malick se hubiese hecho bien, una especie de cosa así. Me llevaba al preciosismo, yo qué sé, súper expansivo, pero el árbol de la vida con un anuncio de Bankia, de estos de todo un futuro juntos. Era como...
Yeah, and there are experiences there, ¿no?
Hubo un momento que me planteé si se podía hacer algo como Terrence Malick, esa estética como muy poética, pero hacerlo comedia. Y lo de la escena de Bayorak, lo de la música que viene del cielo, eso vino por ahí.
This, to me, is like if the film The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick had been done in a really good way, just with the expansiveness of it. And yeah, there's also an element of comedy in that, and the music coming from the sky was influenced by Balbrack. I don't know if I've got your references right there, sorry.
No, the actress in that scene is Eva Yorak.
Oh,
and
okay.
yep, yeah, that's it.
Right, okay.
I mean, one of the scenes in your film that really hits you in the face, and well, I would like to know the meaning, is the when Ingrid Garcia Johnson is watching a film in her mobile, and it's this dialogue between two third generation yuppies, something like that, very pushy, and one asks the other, what do you want to do? Do you want to give up, or you want to keep taking shit? And that the body language is like, you should choose the shit. And I wonder if you are just, I don't know, philosophizing a bit of what people watches in the mobiles, and they should be more choosy. I don't know.
Bueno, obviamente Ingrid está viendo, primero vemos la película como a pantalla completa y luego vemos que la actriz lo está viendo en un móvil. Y su historia relacionada con esta visión que tuvo del futuro arranca con con esta reflexión sobre lo que nos afecta el tamaño de la pantalla en nuestra percepción del cine.
Obviously, Ingrid, in the scene with Ingrid, she's initially watching something and we see it in the full screen, and then we see her watching it on her mobile. And that relates to the story she has about the future. So it's, the size of the screen and how she sees cinema in the future is all related.
Y sí, o sea, creo que realmente una de las razones por las que el cine ha perdido la cualidad de evento semimítico que tenía antes de la televisión o cuando la sala de cine era el espacio donde consumías las películas, es, aparte de la cantidad y lo ubicuo que es las pantallas ahora en todos lados, el tamaño de la pantalla. Ya no... Si antes ves la cara de Humphrey Bogart hace 30, 40, 50 años, ves la cara de una estrella de cine que mide 15 metros de altura, eso tiene un impacto psicológico en tu percepción de esa persona. Y verlas por muy, no sé cómo decir esto, por muy cipotudo, por muy grandilocuente, por muy flipado que sea el diálogo que tienen dos actores, si lo estás viendo verlo luego en un móvil pequeñito me parecía muy patético y el contraste me hacía gracia.
I think cinema has lost certain sort of mythical qualities that it had pre the era of television, when cinema was the place to go. And now that it's everywhere and there's so much of it and we have these really tiny screens, this is quite interesting to me. For example, years ago, you might see an image of Humphrey Bogart that's 15 meters high. And so that has a psychological impact. The size has a psychological impact. And in my film, these actors having quite a flippant sort of nonsensical conversations on this small screen, I thought it made it quite small, quite pathetic, and the contrast was quite funny.
También era una referencia directa a una película de un director que ha sido mencionado ya en esta charla, pero que no quiero mencionar, que tiene un estilo muy intenso, muy en voz alta, que me irrita un poco.
Vale.
It was also a reference to a director who we've mentioned already, but we're not going to mention again. And it's about things filmed in quite an intense way, very loud, and I find it's quite irritating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, let's not mention it again. But I'd like to say, to mention Nacho Vigalondo. We interviewed him a few months ago, probably last summer, just was the last Vermut we did for Quarantena Shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the most chaotic, fantastic interviews we have done, running to the 3 hours. And we drug abuse to comic books and role games and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Alberto always had this theory, and I shared it. In that point, we agree that whether if Nacho Vigalondo has done a terrible damage to a whole generation of Spanish filmmakers. And we will include there with a few like Chema García Ibarra, Ian de Sosa, yourself, Blasco Roca, and this kind of almost science fiction verging on horror, but that horror is...
You can't say the word. You can't say the word.
Hyper-realistic. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
Low cost. Okay.
It's like looking at one itself. When you record your voice and then you hear it, you're not saying anything different. You don't like it. But some of your films, when you look at them, you're seeing yourself, and it's quite interesting. And I blame Nacho Vigalondo for this. What do you think of that?
Bueno,
sorry, it's a question. Do you feel like you belong to this kind of a new generation of filmmakers, or? or no?
Tengo problemas con lo de las generaciones porque me parece que es una cosa más construida desde el punto de vista de la teoría o el periodismo, más que algo que los cineastas piensen o sientan. Todos los Chema, John, Nacho y César son amigos míos, y coincidimos y vemos nuestras pelis y tal, pero no sé, tampoco tengo una sensación muy... Nacho y César son mayores de todas formas, son de una etapa anterior. Con Chema sí que me veo más cercano, incluso lo que hacemos por medios, aunque Chema ahora ya ha hecho una peli con presupuesto, es más cercano, me siento más cercano a Chema en ese sentido. Pero no sé, no me siento parte de una generación. Evidentemente soy coetáneo con muchos directores y directoras y con algunos pues comparto intereses, pero yo no veo más allá de lo inescapable de... Bueno, hemos vivido dos crisis económicas devastadoras y tal. Hemos vivido la misma coyuntura histórica, pero no veo, no sé, decálogos teóricos detrás que articulen esa generación.
I have a problem with the issue of grouping people in a generation, because I think that's something that's constructed more in terms of theory or by journalists, rather than what the filmmakers themselves actually think. I do share things with all the filmmakers you've mentioned, although filmmakers like Nacho, they're maybe a little older than me. Someone like Chema, I would say that I do feel closer with him, and also in terms of the budgets of our films make me feel closer to him. But I certainly don't feel part of a generation. I think all the filmmakers you've mentioned, we all share experiences, and for example, we've all lived through two serious periods of economic crisis and the same history. But I don't really think it's anything much deeper than that links us.
Yeah, I think Rafa's question is timely, because someone yesterday, a Scottish person, cinephile, that told us, like, right, I've seen, like, German science fiction, American, like, I'm quite into, genre and fantastic cinema, but I've not seen anything like this, like your film. And we were explaining, that there's not like a wave or anything like that, but there are several filmmakers playing with this idea of a particular love for science fiction, fantastic cinema, and a very particular sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And that there are several Spanish filmmakers doing this, and that we particularly love it, and we try to bring it every time we can and promote it. And it's not so much in that sense of a generation, or from a journalistic, let's put you a label, but it certainly feels like something nice, peculiar has been happening in Spain.
Sí, no hemos mencionado, por ejemplo, a Canadorma Abandonado, que es Julián Guennison, Lorena Iglesias y Aaron Rooks, que creo que hacen algo que yo en ellos lo veo muy claramente, la conexión con, aunque no lo hagan, no sea una decisión consciente, pero yo sí que veo la conexión con, por ejemplo, con Luis Buñuel. Para mí el estilo de humor que ellos hacen me recuerda muchísimo al siglo de oro, la edad de oro, la edad de oro. Y sí que, bueno, sí que creo que hay cierta idiosincrasia española y supongo que recogemos ese testigo, pero repito que todo esto no es nada consciente, no nos sentamos vamos a seguir la larguísima tradición de humor absurdo español con nuestra siguiente película. Es algo que ocurre, no sé de dónde viene, supongo que es, no sé, algo que echan en el agua.
Well, what you said about sorry, Fiona, I always jump on this.
Yeah. the first film you mentioned, sorry, did you say Calor Abandonado?
Canódromo abandonado, abandoned. I don't know
Horses
how you
place.
say.
It's where you run the dogs.
Dogs, yeah. The races, the
Racing
dog
track.
races.
Oh, racetrack.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah,
So
for
abandoned.
dogs.
With the hippodrome
Yes.
for
Where
dogs.
you bet and you lose all your money.
So that film and that film really reminds me of also the work of Luis Buñuel, and especially with humor as well. So these are some of my influences. I don't think necessarily. I think there's a sort of maybe something about them that's quite Spanish, but when I'm making my film, it's not something that I consciously tap into. If my work is similar, it's not a conscious thing, but I don't know where it comes from really. Maybe it's just something in the water.
Sí, pero sí que hay una cosa, para mí es una cosa que sí que por lo menos la forma en la que yo tengo de acercarme a la narrativa en audiovisual. Me parece que si vas a hacer ficción, estás desaprovechando las posibilidades de la ficción si haces algo puramente realista o no sé, plausible. Y en ese sentido, porque como casi todo lo que he hecho es con pocos medios, al fin y al cabo tengo que coger lo inmediato, lo más cercano a mí y introducir ahí el elemento fantástico, que es algo que creo que también Chema hace muy bien y con una voz mucho más única que yo. Pero sí, o sea, creo que es otra cosa que tenemos en común, aplicar las posibilidades de la ficción a la precariedad material en la que vivimos. Y en ese sentido, para mí, lo que te da la ficción es la posibilidad de saltarte la realidad.
The way that I approach the narrative in my audiovisual work is that, for me, I think with fiction, if you stick to a purely realistic and plausible idea, then you're really missing a lot of opportunities. I like to introduce fantasy, much like Chema does, by applying fiction to real situations or precarious reality. For me, I think you can produce fiction by creating a leap from what's real, basing it on what's real and jumping it into fiction.
But certainly there's a good generation of filmmakers in Spain. I mean, I don't know why I was thinking Elena Lopez Riera, which is not fiction, but then it has that kind of feeling of being a fiction film. And I wonder what you said as well of a generation that has lived two major financial crises, if maybe it's another element that forces you all unconsciously into the same direction, no? Into what you
Don't say the word. Don't say the word.
Using what you have close to you in a creative way.
I don't have problem talking about local cinema. We can do it. It's okay to me.
Okay, but I mean the Kimuak catalog. We have this Marina telling us for her it's important because the endorsement, because it's a classic of the kind of film history of the Basque Country, and you are there. What does it represent for you? What it means to be in the Kimuak?
Nunca he hecho un corto que tuviese una distribuidora detrás, es la primera vez que me pasa, siempre he tenido que autodistribuirlo yo y Kimuak es como, es lo que decía antes Marina, que Kimuak es, si eres vasco es donde quieres, es lo más alto a lo que puedes apuntar porque no es solo que te hagan el trabajo de distribución, sino que ellos tienen ya un prestigio y una marca que ayuda mucho y que se conoce allá afuera, entonces gran parte del trabajo ya está hecho simplemente por tener el sello de Kimuak. Y yo Kimuak lo conocí cuando Nacho Vigalondo hizo 7:35 de la mañana, que no sé si fue la primera edición aquella de Kimuak.
Yo creo que no, ya había habido 2 o 3.
Sí, vale. Bueno, pero lo conocí entonces, porque conocí a Nacho en ese momento, porque le nominaron al Oscar, y me enteré que estaba el corto en Kimuak. Y desde entonces Kimuak ha sido como una luz inalcanzable hasta...
Well, I've never had a distribution body for my work before. I've always had to do it myself. So Kimuak, as Marina said previously, that it's for Basque people, it's a really high aspiration to form part of that catalogue. There is such a prestige with that brand, and it really helps your work to be known all over the place. The work, they do a lot of the work for your film, and so it's great to be associated with them. I first got to know about Kimuak through Nacho Villalondo's work, and when I realized that he was also Oscar nominated, this was a really this gave me sort of like a light in the distance to aim for.
Yeah, there you go. If we were journalists, you just gave us the headline, Pablo.
Oh no.
Jokes apart, I was trying to infer this with Marina as well, but it's not only that they obviously do work for you, like materialistically, they distribute the film for you, but it's a sense of horizon that is important for young filmmakers as well, or new generations of, all right, there is a point. If I make a short film, there is somewhere to go, because, you know, for many years or in other regions or in other, you know, locations, you don't have that sense of horizon of there is a reference where I can aim to reach.
Sí, y los cortometrajes no son el formato históricamente, y ahora más aún, no son el formato que se haya beneficiado más o que tengan mayor visibilidad. Se ven mucho menos que los largometrajes, mucho menos que las series, y Internet lo ha vuelto prácticamente, no obsoleto, pero lo ha marginado un poco más. Y siempre es muy difícil. Al final, los cortos se ven en festivales. Por eso lo que hacéis vosotros es tan importante también. Y Kimuak es la garantía de que tu corto se va a ver, porque lo mueven muy bien y lo van a llevar a festivales. Y si lo que hacemos al fin y al cabo es para que lo vea la gente, Kimuak lo que consigue es eso. Esto parece un anuncio ya.
Ponemos el loguito por aquí.
Compra Kimuak. Es que estoy muy contento de verdad, no es y no es Coca-Cola, es algo público.
It's worth, before Fiona translates, Kimuak must be the only program we give away, like we let them program for us. It's 1 month cinematic that the Kimuak comes and we don't choose what we want to put or anything like that. We put the program in its full. Sorry, Fiona.
Okay. With short films, they're not necessarily a format that's very visible compared with feature films or with series, and the internet has really kind of marginalized that short films. So it's really important to have festivals like yours where they're shown, and with a catalogue like Kimuak, you know that your short film is going to be seen, and you know, if people can see it, then that's great. And I'm beginning to sound like an advert now for them. But it's also, you know, a public body, so it's not like a commercial company. So yes, it's great.
Well, maybe we can do this, Rafa, because obviously it's a public company, but maybe we can talk to Chema and Esther and do like a mashup video directed by Pablo. And obviously, ask for more money to Etxepare. You know, we're doing a great job here. So, no, come on.
Yeah, well, Etxepare, yes. I mean, we have playing with them.
No. Jokes apart. I don't know if get back into the film, Raf, or are you conscious of time? Shall we wrap it up there?
I'm conscious of time and everything else, but talking about the film.
And Pablo is hungover. Maybe we want to start.
I'm fine. The Vladimir is doing
you don't
job.
Hungover at all, man. So go ahead, Alberto. That kind of.
No, we kind of went to the, you know, materialistic or distribution sides of the film, but to get back into the heart of the film, maybe if we can, it was more. I wanted to ask earlier about editing, particularly, you know, someone that can direct, write, and edit. I don't know, if in particular in this case, in this film, you feel, Pablo, like following like a instinct or more, gut feeling type of edit, or it was more following a script or a structure that you gave yourself, or how you came about with the editing process in the film.
Como has dicho, o sea, yo escribo, dirijo, en este caso también, normalmente también fotografío y edito mis películas, en parte por necesidad y en parte porque me gusta, y sobre todo porque creo que la escritura, el rodaje y el montaje son 3 etapas del mismo proceso. O sea, todo es escritura en soportes distintos o en medios distintos. Y en este caso, el corto tenía un guión muy cerrado, muy claramente estructurado. Y el orden, la estructura general es tal cual estaba en el guión, el corto. Pero evidentemente luego todas las partes que son más plásticas, más, no sé, menos literales, ahí ha habido mucho de jugar en montaje, de ver cómo fluye, de experimentar y porque esa era una parte puramente visual que no podía estar en el guión y había que encontrarla en montaje.
So yes, you're right. I do write and direct, and I take care of the photography and the editing, partly out of necessity and also because it's something I enjoy. And I think the 3 elements of writing and photography and editing are all complement each other. They're all very important. The script for this was really quite structured. So in editing, it was important to follow the order that's in the script. However, there are some aspects of it that were maybe more plastic and more less literal. And these I found by playing around in the editing in a more experimental way. Because they were very visual, then they weren't in the script, and I found these parts by experimenting in editing.
Pablo, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask another question, but to Alberto. And,
Okay.
Just to question why we don't have why haven't
Me pongo solemne, espera, que me pongo solemne.
No, it's nothing. It's not important. You're not going to reject me another time. But Pablo Hernando, why we haven't got him here in our new Spanish directors in a retrospective or all those things you do? It's because he's a man and you only bring female filmmakers. Why?
No. I was gonna ask or close the session asking. I mean, 2 things. Yes, it's somehow shocking. It depends pretty much, as you know, Rafa, of the funding we have and how many filmmakers. And in the last 18 months, we could not bring anyone.
Don't try that one with me. We have brought people on a shoestring.
I wanted to ask Pablo about his measures, like face and everything, because we promised on Twitter, and we would love to do like a sculpture, like a live sculpture of Pablo and putting it in the top of Edinburgh Castle.
And very small. The sculpture is going to be very cheap.
No, we could do an inflatable one, and then we can let it go when you're
one of those with the arms like that.
On that well, but Pablo, we're getting to the end of our Vermut. It's great to have you. Actually, it's great to visit your films, and well, the response of of your film, the Solar Time, last Friday in the French Institute in Edinburgh was great. Everybody's commenting on it, and it would be amazing to have you around here and kind of watch it again and watch more of your work. I don't know.
I'm happy. Whenever you want. I mean, I'm open for invitation. I've never been to Scotland, so it will be my pleasure to be there, or even virtually if you don't have the money.
Well, the whole point is bring you. No, the whole point is because obviously in the late 18 months we couldn't, but we have an open strand. So we do a lot of things. All by the time we do like a Catalan film festival, Basque short films, whatever. But we have a strand every year that is called New Spanish Director. That is basically like small monographics of directors that we like. Chema García Ibarra came 3 years ago or something like that. But we try to bring directors that we love when there is money and it was allowed to travel.
Yeah.
So you're marked. You're at the top of the list.
Okay, great.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday. Consider giving up drinking and see. No,
Not gonna do that.
Don't do that before you come to Scotland. Then you can think about it.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you all for inviting me. Thank you, Fiona, for Rafa and Alberto, and all of you watching. I don't know if there's anyone watching actually.
Thousands,
yes.
Thousands.
Okay, millions of people. Okay, so thank you a lot for inviting me, for giving visibility to Basque filmmakers and film pictures. Be happy.
Be happy. There you go. Positivism, just like el ruido solar. Good vibes for the future. Pablo, thanks so much. Enjoy your Sunday and all the best.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, Fiona.
Okay.
Another week. We need to talk about the 28th, but probably this is not the moment.
Yep.
This is like the more like a Vermut is like after lunch on a Sunday, and we're talking about the family things and that.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and Rafa, I hope your children phone you up soon and bring you a crate of Cruz Campo, maybe.
I think I may just pretend they have. Do I have a missed call from you? No.
Anyway.
We never celebrated Father's Day, and I don't think we are going to start now. Really.
All right. Lovely to see you, Fiona.
Lovely to see you too.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Cheerio.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Rafael, pues hasta aquí el capítulo de hoy.
Hasta aquí, we have behaved. I mean, Anna is going to be so happy that it's just over an hour. Goodness gracious.
Yes, it's a record Vermut.
Thank you for those watching live. I know the number of people who watch this Vermut later is a lot bigger. Thank goodness. And remember, you can watch the Kimuak program online. Check our website, CinemaAttic.com. That's 2 A's, 2 T's.com. And all the information is there. You have another 5 days 6 nearly, to watch it. So if you're sick of your football team not winning any matches and drawing with those who shouldn't even be there, just watch Kimuak, watch CinemaAttic, do something better. Cheerio.
Bye, Raf. Bye, everyone.